All right, let's take a look at this. It's called the Cardiopulmonary Exercise Test, or CPET. And this one chart, as complex as it looks, tells a complete story about a person's heart and lung fitness. I know, it seems a little intimidating, but stick with me. By the end of this, you'll know how to read it. Let's jump in. Seriously, how is that even possible? What if I told you that a short, really intense bike ride could create this incredibly detailed map of your body's fitness? A map so accurate, it can predict how well you'll handle the massive stress of a major operation. Well, that's exactly the power we're going to unpack today. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about why we call surgery a hidden marathon for your body. Then, we'll break down how to read this crazy-looking plot using a simple 9-question checklist. And finally, we'll put it all to the test with 2 real-world case studies where this chart made a life-or-death difference. You know, you might think that during major surgery, you're just lying there, completely still. But for your body, it's an absolute marathon. The physiological stress skyrockets your need for oxygen. And the basic idea here is pretty simple. If a patient isn't fit enough to meet that demand, they are way more likely to have serious complications. So we need a way to measure that fitness, and I mean measure it precisely. And that is exactly where CPET comes in. It's basically a really sophisticated stress test. We push your heart and lungs to their absolute limits to see exactly how your body's engine performs under pressure. It's really the gold standard for figuring out your functional capacity before you face a huge physical challenge like surgery. The entire test, we're talking thousands of data points, gets boiled down into this one single graphic, the 9-panel plot. Now, I know what you're thinking. It looks like a total mess. But just think of it like an ECG. You know, to the untrained eye, an ECG is just a bunch of squiggly lines. But once you learn this system, you can spot the patterns. It's the exact same thing here. And this is what normal looks like. Every single dot, every single line on these 9 panels tells part of a story about a specific physiological response as the exercise gets harder and harder. We're seeing ventilation, heart rate, oxygen consumption, it's all here. Our job is to learn how to read that story, and we're going to do it with a simple checklist. To make sense of all this, we are going to use a structured 9-question checklist. This approach is great because it turns this overwhelming graph into a series of simple, manageable questions that guide us right to a conclusion about where a patient's real limits are. We'll start by making sure the test is even valid. Then, we'll look at the big performance numbers, like peak oxygen consumption. After that, we'll dig into this really important metabolic turning point called the anaerobic threshold. So, let's get started with question 1. Okay, first things first. Did the patient actually give it their all? I mean, if they didn't, the data is pretty much useless. So we checked 2 things. In panel 2, did their heart rate get up into that predicted max zone? And second, over in panel 8, did their respiratory exchange ratio, or RER, that's just the ratio of CO2 they breathed out to the O2 they took in, did it go above 1.15? A high RER tells us their body was in a totally unsustainable state. If you get a yes on both, the test is good to go. Next question, what was their peak oxygen consumption, their VO2 peak? You can find this in panel 3, and it's the single best measure of someone's aerobic fitness. Now here's the critical number to remember. If that number is below 15 milliliters of oxygen per kilogram of body weight per minute, studies show that their risk of complications from surgery goes up significantly. All right, now we get to a really important idea, the anaerobic threshold, or AT. This is the precise moment when your body just can't keep up. Your muscles are demanding more oxygen than your heart and lungs can possibly deliver. So your body is forced to switch to a much less efficient energy system, one that starts producing lactic acid. It is a massive indicator of your overall metabolic health. So how do you actually find this point on the chart? Well, there are 2 main ways. First, look at panel 5. We use what's called the V-slope method. See right there where the line showing CO2 production suddenly gets way steeper? That inflection point, that's the AT. And we can double check it in panel 6 by finding the exact spot where the red dots, which show the breathing effort for oxygen, start to rise, while the blue squares for CO2 stay flat. So once we've found that AT, we ask another critical question. What was the oxygen consumption right at that point? And just like with the peak VO2, there is a serious warning threshold here. If the VO2 at the anaerobic threshold is less than 10.2, the risk of having major complications after surgery goes way up. Okay, next up, we zoom in on the heart's performance over in panel 2. We're looking for 2 things to be normal. First, the heart rate should go up in a nice straight line as the work gets harder. Second,
this thing called the oxygen pulse, which is basically a stand-in for how much blood your heart pumps with each beat, it should rise fast and then level off. If either of those looks off, it could be pointing to a problem with the heart.
And finally, we have to ask, are the lungs the weak link? For this, we look at panel 7. We compare the patient's actual breathing during the test to their theoretical max, which is that dotted line called the maximum voluntary ventilation, or MVV. Now, in a healthy person, there's always a huge gap. They stop exercising because their legs are burning, not because they literally can't breathe anymore. If those data points hit that MVV line, that is a huge red flag for a respiratory problem.
Okay, enough theory. Let's see how this works in the real world. Here we have an 80-year-old man with a history of heart disease. He's scheduled for a huge surgery, an aortic aneurysm repair, and his doctors absolutely had to know if his heart could take the strain.
And wow, this slide just says it all. On the left, you've got our normal, healthy reference. On the right is our patient. Now, just look closely at panel 2, at those purple dots representing the oxygen pulse. See how in the normal test it rises up nicely? Now look at our patient's test. It is completely flat. His heart is failing to pump more blood as the exercise gets harder.
So when we run our checklist, the whole story just snaps into focus. Was the test maximal? Yes. But his oxygen pulse was flat. And in panel 3, his oxygen consumption just couldn't keep up with the work he was doing. On top of that, his ECG started showing changes that suggest his heart wasn't getting enough blood. And critically, both his AT and his VO₂ peak were hovering right on the edge of those high-risk numbers we talked about. The conclusion? It's undeniable. His heart is the limiting factor.
And this right here is the real-world impact. This isn't just some academic exercise. Based on the CPET data, the surgeons knew that the incredible stress of open heart surgery was just too dangerous for him. The test proved his cardiac reserve wasn't enough, so they chose a much less invasive procedure, a decision made directly because of the story told in these 9 panels.
All right, let's look at one more case, but with a totally different problem. This is a 78-year-old man, also needing aneurysm surgery, but his main problem is severe COPD. He gets breathless just walking around. The big question for the doctors is it just his lungs, or is there a hidden heart problem too?
And again, putting these side by side is so revealing. Normal on the left, our COPD patient on the right. This time, I want you to focus all your attention on panel 7. In the normal plot, see that huge empty space between the exercise data and that dotted MVV line? That's breathing reserve. Now look at our patient. His ventilation just slams right up against that ceiling. He has absolutely no breathing reserve left. Let's run the checklist. The test was maximal. He stopped because of extreme breathlessness. Interestingly, his AT and VO₂ peak were actually in a lower risk category. His heart rate and oxygen pulse looked pretty normal. But the smoking gun was right there in panel 7. He hit his MVV. He literally could not move any more air in or out. His lungs were, without a doubt, the only thing holding him back. And for the second time, this data completely changed the surgical plan. Even though his heart seemed to be okay, the CPET proved that the risk of post-op lung complications after a massive open surgery was just too high. His lungs would not be able to recover. So he was also offered the safer, less invasive repair. So you see, the 9-panel plot doesn't just tell us if a patient is high risk, it tells us why. It pinpoints the specific weak link in their body's engine, and that leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. If we can diagnose the precise limit of someone's physical engine so accurately, what's to stop us from using that information to train them, to strengthen that specific weak link before the marathon of surgery even begins?